Hey guys, Boss and Ramos, and this Sunday, man oh man, New Year's Eve, we have a present, uh, and it is Miami Dolphins heading to Baltimore to face the Ravens to battle for the number one seed. On top of that, another thing we can talk about is two of the MVP candidates, Lamar Jackson and Tua, are battling out, and whoever wins this more than likely will become the front runner after the game. But as it stands, Dolphins are 11-4, 4-3 on the road, and the Baltimore Ravens are 12-3, and then 5-2 at home. So what does that tell you? Both teams in their current setting, one hasn't had the greatest success on the road, and then the other hasn't had the greatest success at home. Most of their losses have come at both of these type of settings. But all in all, game kicks off at 1 p.m. I was hoping it would get flexed, but at the same time, it's kind of good that this game isn't finishing when the ball is dropping at midnight. But to keep it moving, let's talk about some gambling odds. So Dolphins, for the first time in a while, are not favored in the matchup. They're a plus 3.5 point spread, and the Ravens are minus 3.5. Over under set at 46.5, and then money line is plus 150 Miami Dolphins, minus 175 Baltimore Ravens. According to ESPN's matchup predictor, Dolphins are favored to win this matchup, 44% chance to the Baltimore Ravens, 55.7. Yeah, tough. Some weather updates about the game. 45-degree weather, a little overcast expected at kickoff. Should be a little interesting, but we're going to get into the injury report. Since the Dolphins are on the road, we're going to go with them first. Less of an update for them because we talked about them a lot. But Jalen Ramsey, cornerback, is questionable for knee injury. Xavier Howard, cornerback, questionable for hip injury. Javon Holland, safety, questionable for knee injury. Good to see he's kind of been updated on the injury chart, but hopefully he can come back soon. Robert Hunt, offensive tackle, is doubtful. He had some limited practice this week, so maybe he'll suit up, but the consensus is that he's not going to start. Will he get some snaps? We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. Raheem Mostert, running back, questionable for knee/ankle injury. And then Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, is confirmed out and won't play due to his ankle injury. On top of that, we have Lester Cotton, guard. He's questionable. Austin Jackson, guard, questionable. Liam Eichenberg, offensive tackle, questionable. And that's the biggest injury update for this Miami Dolphins team. For the Baltimore Ravens, there's a lot of injuries to go through, but I'm not going to go too deep just because a lot of guys were injured. Anything past Thanksgiving, I'm not going to go, which was David Ojabo, linebacker, on injured reserve with partially torn ACL. But to keep it relevant, we have Del'Shawn Phillips, linebacker, questionable for shoulder injury. Brandon Stevens, cornerback, questionable for ankle injury. Kyle Hamilton, questionable for knee injury. I don't think Kyle Hamilton plays. He's been dealing with this injury for a while, and last time he got a little banged up against the 49ers, it took him out of the game. Jalen Armour Davis, cornerback, is out. Zay Flowers, wide receiver, is questionable for calf injury. Malik Ham, linebacker, is on injury reserve with ankle injury. Kevin Zeitler, guard, is questionable with a thigh injury. Keaton Mitchell, running back, on injury reserve with a knee injury. Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, on injury reserve with a back injury, and that's pretty much it. On top of that, to add some notable guys, is Mark Andrews, tight end, on injury reserve with an ankle injury. J.K. Dobbins on injury reserve with Achilles injury, and that's about it. This is quite the matchup, guys. We have the number one ranked offense in the Miami Dolphins going against, I believe, the number 5 ranked offense in the Baltimore Ravens. Defensively, Miami's ranked number 3. Baltimore is ranked number 5. Let's go over to the turnover differential, which I think is massive for these teams. The Baltimore Ravens have a plus 10 turnover differential. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have a plus 3. That is something that has been better. Something has been better for the Dolphins as of late. They've been turning over the ball as much. On matter of fact, like early on in the season, the Dolphins had a negative turnover differential. They were causing more turnovers than they were forcing them. So that's a little bit of a concern that has gone to the wayside for a little bit. But let's hope it stays like that. But as it stands, both teams are number 1 in their respective division. but it's not smooth sailing for the Baltimore Ravens. Firstly, let's say that the Ravens lose their next 2 games and the Browns win their next game because they already won on Thursday. Let's say that happens. The Cleveland Browns win the NFC North. On top of that, the number 1 seed could be in jeopardy for the Ravens as well. Not only does a loss here for the Ravens mean that they may lose out on an opportunity to win the number 1 seed, because should the Dolphins beat the Ravens, on top of that, following that, they should have priority over the Ravens, so they have the same record, especially if the Dolphins beat the Ravens. So it should be interesting. But in terms for the Browns would need also the Dolphins to win this game and then lose the next game against the Buffalo Bills. So Brown fans are probably crossing their fingers hoping that all that happens. But we'll just have to wait and see about that. But yeah, right now Dolphins 11-4, Buffalo Bills 9-6, right on their tails. Jets just lost on Thursday, so 6-10, and then the Patriots are 4-11, and then the Baltimore Ravens, they are, I want to say, 12-3, and then the Cleveland Browns 11-5, and then Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals all still in the mix in the wild card at 8-7. So we should see what goes on there. But yeah, in terms of the matchup, last time talked really a lot about Ravens game was in the game picks, and I was touting them up, saying game of the year, and I was hoping the 49ers would come out for just for my own personal benefits, but I was not so shocked that the Ravens won, but in the manner of which they won. They stomped the 49ers. I mean, just made them look horrible. On top of that, Purdy just was having an off day. Had 4 interceptions. I would say like 1 or 2 of them were not entirely his fault, but still at the end of the day, he's the one responsible for the turnover. But to say the least, let's talk about some keys to victory for the Miami Dolphins. First and foremost, you gotta run the hell out of the ball. This Baltimore Ravens team is really good at running the ball, and if they can dominate time of possession, it's not going to be a good thing for the Dolphins, especially if they come out with empty possessions. So one thing you want to do is kind of go tit for tat with them, run the ball, kind of match them up, but also take your shot plays, especially with Jalen Waddle out. You want to still have that depth of field, taking shots down the field type of offense, because that's what they've been all year. And sadly to say, the last time Jalen Waddle didn't play, the Dolphins put up 70. Now, do I think they're going to do that against this Baltimore Ravens team? No chance. No chance. Baltimore Ravens are a way better defensive team than the Broncos were on that given Sunday. But to say the least, I still have faith in this Dolphins team, even without Waddle on the field. It's definitely going to hurt not having him there, but I think the Dolphins have a solid chance. To go back to the keys review, run the ball. We have a little banged up running back room with Raheem Mostert possibly being out. I still see Devon Achane and Jeff Wilson more than capable of carrying the load and putting an effective run game in. On top of that, Tyreek Hill needs to be the X factor in this matchup. Tyreek Hill is going to be the massive difference maker in this game. And whether he does good or bad is going to be a really telling story on whether or not this Miami Dolphins team will win this matchup. So point of emphasis, aside from running the ball, is getting Tyreek the ball, getting the ball in space for him. Just a replication of what happened last year when this Dolphins and Ravens game happened in week 2 last year. Dolphins were in a big hole, down 21 in the 4th, and found their way to come back and win. So can they replicate that magic? Let's see. Let's see. A little nervous, but hey, this is what you wanted, right? You wanted to be one of the top dogs in all the NFL. Here's the time to go do it. You go to the top seed in the league and you rip the heart out of their chest, and that's what you got to do. Defensively, we all know that Lamar Jackson can scramble. Is he going to scramble like crazy? We'll just have to wait and see. The best you can do is cross your fingers and hope he doesn't, but one thing that the Dolphins do really well is just understanding their opponent and how to limit them. For example, Lamar Jackson is the leading rusher for the Baltimore Ravens right now. That is mostly due to a lot of their key injuries to their running backs. J.K. Dobbins, Keaton Mitchell, those were some of the guys. Gus Edwards is more of a bruiser back who will get limited yards at a time. Like, at the most. Like he's more than likely just rushing for 5 yards at the most per game. But to say the least, Lamar Jackson has been very good throwing the ball, and that's why he's one of the MVP candidates. On top of that, just leading his team in such a fashion that right now is carrying them to the #1 seed. And that is in large part due also to having one of the better defenses in the NFL. But we give the man his flowers. Speaking of flowers, Zay Flowers, leading receiver for this Baltimore Ravens team. So that little combination of Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, if they start having themselves a game, then the Dolphins may be in some trouble. But I have confidence in this team all around, offensively, defensively, special teams. I mean, you've seen games throughout the year that the defense has won games. You've seen the games throughout the year that the offense has won games. And you've seen games throughout the year that the special teams. Literally last week, Jason Sanders won the game for the Miami Dolphins. Without him, Dolphins would have 16 less points. Let's say if he was having a bad day. So, yeah, it's a tough one. But to say the least, hopefully the Dolphins are going to win. Run the ball effectively, get Tyreek Hill involved early and often, and just keep him being the engine that keeps this offense going. Defensively, limit Lamar Jackson's scrambles. You're not going to be able to stop that, just limit it. And on top of that, the combination between him and Zay Flowers, let's hope that offense can put a little bit of an end to that connection. We'll just have to wait and see. But I appreciate you guys watching this video, and let's see what happens at around 4 p.m. on Sunday. But thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.